Kash Patel, the fiery defender of disruption, facing off against Schiff, the cool guardian of the status quo. What if this wasn't just another debate? Imagine a stage where two political titans collide not with fists, but with words sharper than knives. Kash Patel, the fiery defender of disruption, facing off against Schiff, the cool guardian of the status quo. What if this wasn't just another debate, but a mirror reflecting America's deepest divides, forcing you to question everything you thought you knew about power and trust? Picture the tension building as the lights dim. The audience holds its breath, and the first words drop like bombshells. Could this be the moment that reshapes our nation's future, or just another echo of endless gridlock? Stick around, because what unfolds next will make you laugh, rage, and rethink your own beliefs in ways you never expected. Is true leadership born from chaos or calm? Let's dive in and find out. The instant that transformed a standard political event into a nationwide controversy emerged not through yelling or drama, but through subtle inflection. When Kash Patel walked onto that platform, he didn't come across as a guy aiming to dominate a dispute, and Schiff didn't appear as someone ready to surrender the storyline. What ensued wasn't a classic debate, but a showdown between two long-standing political mindsets that had been dodging each other for ages. One communicates via the vocabulary of establishments and ethical superiority. The other through the rhythm of complaints, history, and societal bitterness. The impact resonated not due to volume, but because of what each faction presumed the nation already accepted. For Schiff, the occasion aimed to bolster steadiness. His stance, his wording, and even his silences were tuned to convey serene certainty, the idea that destiny quietly backed him up. He presented his comments as extension rather than clash, as if the crowd had endorsed his views long before he voiced them. That presumption marked the initial rift in the atmosphere, because Patel wasn't present to embrace certainty, and his demeanor clarified that even before he replied outright. Patel's initial replies held a tone that was nearly soothing. He talked deliberately, sometimes grinning, as if entertained by the gravity Schiff brought to his arguments. There was no quick retaliation, no louder speech, no bold disruption. Instead, he let Schiff's declarations hang there long enough for listeners to sense their heft, then softly undermined their base. It was like watching a tide roll by before noting the beach stayed put. Schiff relied strongly on the dialect of duty. He discussed democracy like a delicate relic, needing skilled care from veteran experts. His case implied peril stems mostly from impulsiveness, from folks who talk too loosely and upset the delicate equilibrium of structures. By doing that, he subtly cast himself as the mature figure present. The issue, which Patel would soon capitalize on, is that plenty of voters no longer buy into the grown-ups who claim exclusive wisdom. When Schiff mentioned dangers to democratic standards, the space responded courteously but without spark. The phrases were recognizable, nearly scripted, and bore the soft reverberation of addresses given repeatedly. There was solace in their reliability, but also weariness. You could feel he addressed an America more vivid in reports than in corner stores or industrial hubs. That gap turned into the unspoken canvas for Patel's comebacks to hit. Patel didn't launch straight at Schiff personally. Instead, he addressed background, about bodies that assert validity while yielding outcomes increasingly removed from everyday existence. He wondered if democracy gains from constant ethical sermons or loses from the gradual decay of confidence between officials and people. The inquiry hung there, not for novelty, but because it came without blame. It was more a prompt for the crowd to fill in their response. Schiff, detecting the change, honed his delivery. He started sketching starker boundaries, portraying the instance as a pick between advancement and retreat. His speech grew taut, bringing a faint urgency, as if his stance's necessity ought to be obvious. This is where the dialogue shifted from separate talks to real opposition. The vibe altered and the risks heightened. Patel answered with the unforeseen wit, not the biting slur type, but a wry, chatty sarcasm. He noted Americans have endured countless alerts about disaster from folks seemingly forever shielded from its fallout. The quip sparked chuckles, not for meanness, but because it struck an awkward chord for many there. Wit, right then, acted as a dissolver that melted Schiff's ethical structure without frontal assault. Schiff fought back by calling on duty once more, this time more directly. He hinted leadership demands control, that not all complaints merit boosting. The suggestion was evident. Types like Patel flourish on splits and showmanship, but the jab risked backlash, since it painted discontent as a thing to handle instead of tackle. That nuance didn't escape notice. Patel dove into that breach. He portrayed irritation as facts, not mayhem. He contended that when masses of citizens sense ignored, the flaw isn't their volume, but the setup ceasing to hear. It was a repositioning that neatly flipped Schiff's point against itself. If democracy is vulnerable, he suggested, maybe it's from being handled like a seminar instead of a dialogue. Here, the interaction transcended policy details. It turned symbolic, vying over who owned the right to decode the general sentiment. Schiff talked from the angle of ruling, stressing persistence, wariness, and formal validity. Patel talked from the angle of upheaval, casting those procedures as walls shielding flops from reckoning. Neither stance was wholly fresh, but their pairing was strikingly bare. One telling instant arrived when Schiff inquired, nearly as a flourish, if fury ought to steer national choices. The query aimed to undermine populist drive as illogical. Patel didn't reject fury's existence. Instead, he wondered why so many Americans raged to begin with, and who gained from labeling that rage invalid. The pivot changed feeling from a weakness to proof. There was a quiet irony in Schiff's reply. He cautioned against stories dividing Americans into authentic and lesser ones. Yet his structure routinely lifted some voices as more accountable, more aware, more reliable. Patel didn't highlight this outright. He just observed trust can't be ordered, only gained, and many Americans sense it's been wasted. As the dialogue went on, it grew clear Schiff defended a framework, while Patel probed its ethical tally. She highlighted standards, he outcomes. She stressed aim, he impact. This gap counted because voters judge rule more by real life than declared goal. The strain between those measures shaped the encounter's remainder. By the segment's close, no killer strike landed. There was no buzzworthy slur, no showy breakdown. What lingered was stronger, a persistent doubt about validity itself. Was the bigger danger to democracy the upset of its tongue, or the loss of belief in its fruits? And who, then, seemed more aligned with the nation's true pulse? The confrontation's next stage unrolled not via harsher terms, but through beat contrast. Adam Schiff spoke like addressing a jury still, piling bases meticulously before hitting a verdict he figured would seem unavoidable. Kash Patel, conversely, spoke like at a dining spot, breaking each base not with hostility, but ease. The variance was fine, but key, since crowds don't just hear points, they hear bearing. And bearing, that instant, sealed fate. Schiff circled back to his favored turf, reliability. He recalled his background, his prosecutor days, his spans handling federal machinery. The hint floated that leading learns via closeness to power. Patel didn't contest his record, making his retort stronger. Instead, he asked if background that never self-fixes should count as insight. That query hit tougher than any blunt charge. It pushed the crowd to square two notions often kept apart. One that duration means skill, the other that many woes feel ancient, profound, and more fixed than ever. Patel let that clash linger without haste to fix it. Schiff tried reframing the talk as duty versus rashness. He alerted that speech has effects, that terms can stoke already boiling strains. His delivery implied restraint as ethical merit. But restraint, as Patel noted softly, shines only with results. Else, it might echo like endurance asked of those least able to spare it. The wit resurfaced at the perfect beat. Patel quipped, "Americans got told to stay patient so long that patience feels eternal." The line pulled laughs, but edged too. It hinted calm pleas often stem from those least touched by warned disorder. Schiff grinned politely, but his tightness grew. He switched to togetherness, calling on joint ideals and group duty. His words were embracing, nearly ritual, like from a public creed. The snag wasn't the feeling, but the moment. Togetherness, Patel shot back, can't be called like a tagline when faith drains from bodies. It needs ground-up rebuild, not top-down decree. Now, the opposition had grown into a deep split. Schiff claimed democracy lives via barriers, guidelines, and watchful care. Patel claimed it lives via reaction and answerability. Neither spurned democracy, but each saw its perils differently. That split showed why they talked by each other while reaching millions. Schiff alerted that rabble-rousing feeds on gripes. Patel replied, gripes feed when bosses ignore flops. The talk was no more about plans, but about assessment. If the sickness is falsehoods, then speech control cures. If alienation, then more speech heals. One of Schiff's keener instants came questioning if rage should rule governing. The wording was precise, meant to sound fair, not scornful. Patel didn't back rage as rule, and he backed it as clue, to decode, not crush. Ignoring it, he added, doesn't vanish it, just guarantees louder return. The crowd's feedback mirrored the rift live. Some bobbed at Schiff's steadiness stress, eased by its known ring. Others perked at Patel's claim the system quit hearing. It wasn't convincing so much as spotting. Each activated distinct real life in the space. By this part's end, it was obvious Schiff battled to keep body faith. Patel battled to legitimize doubts many Americans hold toward those bodies. Neither view dismissed easily, making the clash more disturbing than loud. No obvious bad guy, just rival moral claims, and that vagueness often makes political tales most risky and mighty. As the talk advanced, the space sensed this wasn't standard political fencing between Adam Schiff and Kash Patel, but a crash between two wholly distinct authority grasps. Schiff leaned anew into body speech, talking norms like pillars upholding the state. His lines were shaped carefully, each part expecting legal check, each break tuned for weight. Patel heard without cut-in, amplifying the difference. He seemed to grasp finishing her was his rebuttal part. When Schiff talked safeguarding democracy from hazardous elements, he never named them straight. The vagueness was planned, a wide rhetorical cover for many charges without picking one. Patel asked if democracy protects by dodging details, if threats unnamed, how reckoning comes. The query stayed, uneasy and open. Here, wit crept again, but softly, almost slyly. Patel joked Washington excels at spotting risks and fails at mending issues. The line got laughs, not for smartness, but familiarity. Schiff smiled, though strained a bit. It was the smile of hearing known critique but never fully taken. Schiff countered cynicism corrodes democratic belief like graft. He claimed endless doubt leaves no space for joint effort. His tone showed worry, not blame, harder to brush off. Patel agreed basically, then quietly reshaped. Cynicism, he said, trails letdown, not belief system. That split counted more than seemed. Schiff saw distrust, as ethical slip leaders must deter. Patel saw it as proof leaders slipped. One asked public to believe afresh. The other asked leaders to regain belief. The talk sharpened when Schiff doubted if populist talk risks over simple complex truths. He spoke global setups, links, and swaps resisting quick fixes. Patel didn't deny complex, but challenged its serve. When complex leads always to no action, is it reason or alibi? The room hushed notably. Schiff stressed background again, noting ruling isn't improv. Bodies exist because gut is unreliable. Patel replied bodies without feedback insulate, not wise. He likened them to sealed spaces where talks never escape. Not an attack, but it hit as one. Now, the opposition felt uneven. Schiff guarded systems like breakable items. Patel treated them as tools for test and swap if busted. Neither view extreme alone. Together, they bared a political fault line. The sharpest instant came when Schiff asked if Patel thought rage should direct nation. The query, keen but even, meant to frame him reckless without direct say. Patel paused longer than normal before reply. Rage, he said, shouldn't direct policy, but inform leaders of pain spots. Ignoring, he added, never bred steadiness. That reply drew whispers, not claps, not uplifting, but rooted. Schiff replied, stressing calm lead in national strain. Patel agreed, then asked why calm lead often matches worse results. The talk's balance almost precise. By now, the story shifted. Schiff argued, preserve, continue, restrain. Patel argued correct, disrupt, respond. Neither charged direct, yet hints clear. Not temperament fight, but validity. As the part neared end, Schiff returned to ethical words. He spoke duty to coming ages, guarding bodies to last. Patel answered duty to now, to folks with past choice fallout. Future ages, he said, get what we skip fixing. That line hit with soft power. What made the opposition gripping was not loud or slur, but flip. Schiff sounded protecting precious from mishandle. Patel sounded convinced it mishandled too long. Both claimed grave, both country care. The hanging query was which bearing matched Americans' lived moment. The exchange's next twist held different heat. Less argue, more reveal. Schiff adjusted stance slightly, like prosecutors when foes skip usual rules. He spoke duty again, but framed as care, hinting some past history while others guard. The hint clear without voice. Patel, he suggested, was guest, not keeper. Patel didn't chafe at hint, maybe most unsettling. Instead, accepted and flipped. Keepers, he said, sometimes mix guarding house with skipping roof fix. If rain leaks, people stop caring house age. The line rippled laughs, not booming, but clear. Schiff replied with reckless redo warning. He reminded tearing beams without load grasp can collapse. His words built like, almost school, as if steadiness credential. Patel countered no one under leak roof comforts by engineering talks. They want someone to climb and wet fixing. Here, the difference almost stage-like. Schiff spoke like system-critical patient, fragile needing quiet prose. Patel spoke like patient misdiagnosed years and mad on bill. Neither view silly, but only one saw frustration as data, not peril. Sharper wit followed when Patel noted Washington confuses complex with depth. He joked some policies impress because no plain English explain. Laughs louder this time. Schiff chuckled brief. She replied slogans, no solutions, rule by punchline, no rule. Fair point, clean deliver. Patel agreed. Added slogans popular when solutions skip. If people echo simple, maybe because simple vows broke first. That drew nods from earlier skeptics. Schiff paused, picking words careful. He knew terrain risky. He pivoted to background again, stressing years crisis navigate behind doors. Some choices, he argued, can't public explain without harm. Trust, he hinted, needs accept not all shown. Patel noted secret realities, asked how secret permanent, not rare. When trust us ends. The space felt weightier post-query. Not blaming, but heavy. Schiff replied, trust loss why leaders must responsible speak. Patel answered, trust loses faster when responsible skips accountable. The word gap hung quiet. As exchange continued, Schiff framed unity as control. He spoke holding, even when disagrees urgent. Patel framed unity as truth. Arguing forced harmony hides decay. Disagree not threat, quiet is. Statement calm, almost soft. By now, crowd sensed neither aimed traditional win. Schiff defended. Continue. Idea progress slow sought shield from impatience. Patel challenged if slow shields consequence. One, like process guard. The other, like result rep. The last minutes held quieter fire. Schiff closed urging resist easy foes and simple tales. Democracy, he said, survives boring, process, restrained. Patel replied boredom okay when life works. For struggling, boredom neglect. Neither volume up, neither slur. Yet clash sharper than most cable shouts, because display not idea, but space. Space between led and lived. When moderator cut in, almost relief. Space breathed, aware unresolved left open. Schiff defended rule build. Patel questioned if build serves dwellers. Crowd left to pick which matched real. The space didn't settle post-claps. If anything, silence heavier than prior shouts. All grasped this beyond single talk or event. This about two core power views facing public. And center collision were Schiff and Kash Patel. Schiff replied like seasoned prosecutors when foes skip familiar rules. He didn't match Patel's tone, nor mirror rhetoric. Instead, slowed talk, reshaped moment, queried premise. What he challenged, not crowd emotion, but narrative legitimacy, sold. Was outrage used as lead, or lead mistaken for outrage? Schiff didn't deny anger nationwide. He admitted open, almost clinical, like listing proof, not dispute, but argued anger alone, no governed philosophy. Signal, not fix. Real query, he suggested. Who knows turn gripe to steady without system tear? Patel, his part, leaned contrast, not flee. He framed Schiff as elite political embody, fluent empathy but distant fallout. He doubted decades system inside made results or refined alibis. If system fails, same groups repeat. Why trust top defenders? And if background no prosperity, what it deliver? The talk quick, less policy detail, more moral power. Schiff spoke body-tongue. Continue. Barriers prevent chaos, even progress slow. Patel spoke break-tongue. Moments history shift, not system work, but break under press. One warned rash, other warned stall as duty disguise. Both charged other misread country serve. What made opposition compelling, not volume, but uneven. Schiff sounded protect fragile, valuable. Patel sounded believe fragility proof fail. He argued democracy needs restrain, patient, humble. He countered patient excuse, permanent push. Observers noted subtle irony in exchange. Schiff spoke unity facing crowd, no trust him. Patel spoke disrupt on national stage, built by criticized bodies. Neither contradiction missed, neither side shamed. That strain part show itself. At one point, Schiff posed query sharp without volume. If every setback betrayal frame, how country recover trust? If every deal surrender, how law happen? Politics tool build groups, or weapon score forever wins? And if rule same as campaign, who runs country? Patel's reply, different challenge. He asked if deal ritual not result. Deals solve issues or signal process. If communities decline while leaders praise procedure win, not dishonest. And if honest disrupt, maybe disrupt do. The crowd reaction bared deeper break than single policy talk. Some heard Schiff felt relief. Someone believes institutional pull. Others heard Patel felt seen first years. Not fact disagree, so much faith disagree. Faith systems versus faith break. Faith house repair versus rebuild full. There even dark wit in later commentary. Pundits joked Schiff sounded homeowner, insist foundation fine while floor creak. Others joked Patel sounded ready burn house, because paint offends. Both jokes hit because truth grain. And grain, what made confrontation linger past headlines? Uncomfortable because known. As exchange online spread, queries grew, not settled. Was Schiff defend democracy or status quo? Was Patel channel legit frustrate or convert perpetual fight? Can system survive if every vote existential war? And can reform if trust bodies collapsed? What neither full resolve was posture cost. Schiff risked sound detached when moment demand emotion ring. Patel risked sound fire start when moment demand exact. Both knew risks, both took anyway. So clarified stakes more than ready statement. This opposition no end with stage winner, ended with crowd forced face on presume. Want reassure or reckon. Fear unstable more than stall, or stall more than unstable. And uncomfortable, prepared either choice fallout. What followed, days after no clear, but amp. Cable news did what always when ambiguity. Turned complex talk morality play two roles. One cast Schiff Ulwalf's chaos. Other cast Kash Patel, only adult admit house fire already. Schiff leaned institutional reliable. He reminded crowds he governed, prosecuted, dealt, endured. Message steady, almost dull deliberate. Democracy, he argued, not feel movie. Supposed it'd feel boring, because boring systems prevent dramatic fall. Patel rejected premise full. He argued boredom luxury many Americans no afford. For communities gutted decades decline, steady, same as neglect. If bodies work, why many feel permanent out benefits? And if system no self-correct, why challenge heresy? The crash revealed two risk theories. Schiff viewed risk minimize, manage, sequence careful. Patel treated risk unavoidable, already status quo embed. To Schiff, disrupt, threaten, fall. To Patel, delay, guarantee. What made opposition combustible both claimed moral grave. Neither from irony, neither politics entertain. That grave stripped cynicism comfort. Viewers no dismiss exchange theater without dismiss own worries. Schiff posed query many center find persuasive. If delegitimize every body, what remains when need one? Who settles disputes when courts corrupt? Dismiss elections rigged. What replaces trust once full burn? And how democracy survive if every loss conspiracy proof? Patel countered query hard land. If bodies repeat fail, large population parts, why deserve unconditional trust? When deference, complicity. How many generations wait before patient cruel? And who benefits when steady calls always from insulated unstay? The exchange bared paradox, neither full resolve. Schiff needed bodies trusted, but trust what many Americans no have. Patel needed disrupt constructive, but disrupt often attract actors, care less reform than show. Both right fear, other unleash. Both constrained by describe realities. That mutual trap made confrontation resonate past party lines. Satirists field day, but jokes carried unease. Schiff mocked as museum guard, where exhibits no work. Patel mocked as redo contractor, sledgehammer no plan. Humor worked capture real tensions, preserve no repair hollow, destroy no design reckless. As debate echoed opinion columns, one theme resurfaced, not mere disagree policy outcomes. Disagree about time. Schiff spoke like democracy, unfold slow, uneven, but build up. Patel spoke like time run out too many Americans. Schiff supporters stressed precedent warnings. Once norms break, rarely return whole. Power sees reform name, rarely surrender after. History plenty caution tales. Cure, they warned, worse disease. Patel supporters countered precedent weaponized. Rules enforced selective. Accountable flow down, not up. If system protects self better than citizens, fundamental wrong. Wait polite, they argued. No plan. The uncomfortable queries neither full answer. What if Schiff right disrupt accelerate decay? What if Patel right steady mask fail? Can reform without delegitimize? Can legitimate survive without reform? And who decides balance tip too far either? In private talks, even seasoned political ops admitted confrontation unsettled. Schiff exposed trust fragile. Patel exposed cost, pretend trust exists. Neither reveal comfort. Both unavoidably true. Why exchange no fade? Aftermath also bared generation divides cut party lines. Older voters tend hear Schiff as hard-earned caution voice. Younger voters likely hear Patel name realities live daily, not strict idea, experiential. People evaluate arguments through lens if system work personal. Their moment often replay online when Schiff paused before answer one Patel challenge. In pause, critics saw hesitate. Supporters saw restrain. Patel supporters saw evade. Schiff supporters saw discipline. Same silence told different stories. Depend, listen. What ultimate emerged, no consensus, but clear. Country, no argue, marginal differ. Argue first principles about whether continue virtue, about whether disrupt ethical ever, about whether democracy require faith or faith earn anew. The confrontation forced audiences face own thresholds. How much disorder willing risk for renew possible? How much stagnation tolerate safety name? At what point caution coward? At what point courage reckless? These no settle poll. In end, neither Adam Schiff nor Kash Patel deliver knockout. What deliver instead rarer destabilized. They exposed fault lines beneath unity progress language. They revealed how different Americans understand same words and made clear next politics phase not fight over slogans, but definitions. Definitions responsibility. Definitions legitimate. Definitions what mean protect democracy versus what mean save it. Confrontation, no resolve, tensions, made impossible, ignore. What made this confrontation linger, no single quote or viral exchange, but way expose deeper tension, quietly reshape American politics years. Clash between Adam Schiff and Kash Patel no simply reflect disagree policy priorities, reflected two fundamental different understand political legitimate mean fractured democracy. Schiff approached legitimate cumulative procedural. In framing, authority build time through bodies, norms, share expect. Slow, often frustrate, rarely dramatic, but stable. Patel contrast, treated legitimate immediate emotional. For him, authority flow resonance, lived experience. Speak grievances, feel, ignore, dismiss. This legitimate no-weight permission bodies declares self. Neither model knew. What knew, how open collide. In earlier political eras, two approaches often uneasy balance. Institutional voices handle govern. Populist energy remain largely rhetorical. Occasional erupt, but rarely dominate. Today, balance collapse. Populist critique no sit margins, demands center. Institutional defenders, like Schiff, increasing find explain value systems once justify self. This inversion matters, change how audiences interpret strength. Schiff spoke measured tones, careful content risk consequence. Caution, no hesitate, deliberate restrain. But restrain, current political climate often misread weak. Patel sharper language, contrast, felt decisive, even avoid specifics. Decisive, not accurate, become proxy strength. Result communication gap, no bridge, better message alone. Schiff arguments assume audience still invest process. Patel assume audience already disillusion it. When one speaker asks listeners slow, consider long-term imply, other urge act immediate frustrate, debate, stop solutions, become tempo. And tempo favors anger. What further complicate dynamic media amp role. Clips exchange circulate wide but not even. Schiff, most nuanced moments rarely clipped. Patel, sharpest lines were. This no necessary partisan manipulate. Algorithmic gravity. Platforms reward content, compress complex emotion, short punch bursts. Anger, compress better caution. Over time, create feedback loop. Politicians learn which tones travel further. Audiences learn which emotions feel satisfied. Bodies design deliberate struggle, compete marketplace, optimize immediate. This no mean Schiff ineffective. Fact, performance likely resonates strong specific audience segment. Voters remain anxious, unstable, wary, dramatic disrupt. But mean effective now fracture. No single national audience anymore. Overlap publics, each own emotional frequency. Patel appeal operate most strong one frequencies. Language, no design persuade skeptics. Design validate already feel betray. That validate, once offer, difficult counterstats procedural assure. You know out-argue feeling, explain it. Why moments like matter more immediate outcomes. Signal how future confrontations unfold. As populist figures grow comfortable, dismiss institutional caution. Elitism, institutional leaders face narrow rhetorical options. Defend system too strong, risk sound detach. Criticize too open, risk undermine legitimate rely. Schiff attempt walk line, acknowledge frustrate without endorse cynicism. Defend bodies without pretend flawless. Careful performance, perhaps too careful era reward spectacle. Yet care self may become political differ. As political discourse accelerate, growing evidence portion electorate experience fatigue. Constant outrage exhaust. Endless crisis frame lose impact. That environment, calm may eventual regain value, but no quick, no even. The Schiff-Patel exchange sits crossroads. No resolve anything. Clarified fault lines. One striking aspect's moment, what neither side say explicit. Schiff no accuse Patel irresponsible. Patel no accuse Schiff bad faith. Instead, both spoke past each, address different fears. Schiff address chaos fear. Patel address stagnation fear. These fears no mutual exclusive, but rarely share same mic. That why direct confrontations, figures like feel unsatisfy many viewers. No debates traditional sense, parallel monologues, compete emotional align, rather logical agree. This shift implications beyond single election cycle, affects how policy frame, how compromise perceive, how trust rebuild after conflict. When legitimate no anchor share bodies, but personal identify, scope national consensus shrink. And yet, moments restrain still matter. Schiff insist process, caution, measure response, serve, remind, govern, no operate speed outrage. Roads, courts, budgets, alliances, no bend, easy emotional momentum. Require continue, require patient, require times unpopular pauses. Patel challenged powerful, precise reject those pauses. But reject alone, no build alternate. Mobilize energy without necessary direct it. The unresolved query, then, no who won exchange. Which legitimate model prove more sustainable society under constant info pressure? If anger continue, outperform caution. Politics grow louder, less predict. If exhaust sets, voters begin seek steadier hands. Institutional voices may regain ground. More likely, future oscillate between poles, produce cycles, disrupt, stabilize. In that sense, Schiff Patel moment less turn point than diagnostic, shows where systems strain, where communicate fails, where emotional needs diverge faster than political language adapt. Understand that may no offer immediate comfort, but offers clarity. And era-define noise, clarity self-form power.